Princess Ilara of the human colony did not believe anything strange could happen on a quiet morning. The sun of the alien world, called Lyria, rose slowly over the palace walls, painting the sky in soft blue and silver colors. The young princess liked these mornings. They were peaceful, calm, and full of gentle light. She often walked alone in the palace gardens before anyone else woke up. Ilara was kind, curious, and thoughtful. Even though she was a princess, she lived simply. She did not demand anything from the servants, and she always smiled at the alien guards who protected the human colony. The palace itself was built by an alliance of human engineers and alien architects from different species. They respected humans, especially because humans had survived many hard worlds before coming here. But no one expected the strange event that was going to begin this morning. Ilara walked on the stone path between tall, glowing flowers. The plants of Lyria were beautiful, but unusual. Some flowers changed their colors when touched. Some leaves produced soft music when the wind moved through them. The place looked calm, and the gentle wind carried the scent of sweet pollen. Ilara hummed a small tune while walking. Her long hair moved lightly. She reached a small stone bridge and stopped to watch her reflection in the water. The stream below sparkled with tiny crystals that floated like dust. But then something happened. Something small, yet strange enough to make her breath catch. When she turned to walk again, her shadow moved before she did. At first, she did not understand. She only saw something move quickly at her feet. She thought maybe a bird passed above her. But when she looked down, her shadow stood one step ahead of her, stretched long on the ground even though she had not moved a muscle. Ilara froze. Her heart beat faster. She blinked twice and stepped back slowly. Her shadow did not step back. It simply waited there in front of her, still and dark, exactly shaped like her but not following her actions. This could not be real. She lifted her right hand. The shadow did not lift anything. She lifted her left hand. Again, nothing. It stood there like a separate being. Ilara whispered softly, "This is not possible." The garden was silent. Even the musical leaves seemed to stop moving, as if the entire world was watching with her. She stepped forward, very slowly. Only then did the shadow respond. It stretched farther, almost as if trying to warn her or reach out before she took a full step. Ilara stumbled back again. This time, the shadow snapped back to match her movements perfectly. Like a normal shadow, Ilara held her breath. Her fingers trembled a little. She looked around to see if any guard or servant had seen her. But she was alone. She knelt down and touched the ground. Her shadow touched the ground too, but now it behaved normally. "Maybe I'm tired," she whispered. "Maybe I didn't sleep enough." She tried to calm herself, but her heart kept beating fast. She rubbed her arms and decided to visit someone she trusted more than anyone. Professor Loris. Her alien mentor, Professor Loris, and the first explanation. Professor Loris belonged to an alien species called the Arelin. They had tall, thin bodies and soft, glowing patterns on their skin. They were wise scholars, known for studying strange energy fields and unexplained events. Loris especially liked humans. He always said humans were full of surprises, and he enjoyed teaching the princess. Ilara reached his lab, which was filled with crystals, scanning devices, and floating screens. Loris was already awake, reading data from a humming hologram. "Professor?" she called softly. Loris turned and smiled. "Ah, Princess Ilara, you are up early today. Is everything well?" Ilara hesitated. Should she tell him? Would he believe her? Finally, she nodded slowly. "Professor, something strange happened. My shadow, it moved before I did." Loris's bright eyes flickered. He did not laugh or dismiss her. Instead, he stood straighter, serious. "Describe it carefully," he said. Ilara repeated everything, from the moment she saw it move to how it returned to normal. Loris listened quietly, his glowing skin patterns dimming in concentration. When she finished, he walked to a scanner and spoke softly. "Humans have always shown unusual reactions to Lyria's quantum fields. Your body might be interacting with this planet differently." Ilara frowned. But a shadow moving alone? That sounds impossible. Impossible for most, Loris agreed. But humans are different. You have instincts and senses even your own species does not fully understand. Maybe Lyria's energy is awakening something inside you. Ilara's heart calmed a little when she heard this. Loris always explained things gently, even if they were confusing. Is it dangerous? She asked. We must study it, Loris replied. But danger? I cannot say yet. Before he could continue, a loud crack echoed through the lab. A heavy metal beam above the entrance started breaking loose. The lab ceiling had been undergoing repairs, and one of the supports snapped. Ilara looked up just as the beam began to fall toward her. But something happened so fast that she did not have time to react. Her shadow moved. It jumped backward sharply, pulling itself away from the danger. And in that same instant, Ilara's body reacted too. She did not think. She did not plan. It felt like an instinct guided her legs, pulling her back just in time. The beam crashed to the floor where she had been standing only a second earlier. Dust filled the air. The workers nearby shouted. Loris ran to her, checking if she was hurt. Ilara, are you fine? She nodded, shaking a little. My shadow. It moved before I did. Again. This time, Loris did not look surprised. He looked fascinated. Remarkable, he whispered. Your shadow reacted before your conscious mind. Almost like it sensed the fall before you did. Ilara wanted to deny it, but she knew it was true. Her shadow saved her. Whispers in the palace. Word of the accident spread quickly across the palace. Servants and guards heard rumors that the princess had avoided a falling beam without even seeing it. Some said she had special senses. Others whispered that humans might be evolving. That night, Ilara sat in her room, thinking about everything. She held a small, light crystal, watching it glow softly. Why me? She whispered. She looked down at her shadow on the floor. It looked normal again, perfectly matching her shape. She moved her hand slowly. The shadow copied perfectly, but she could not forget what she saw. It had moved first. Twice. She lay on her bed and stared at the ceiling. Loris had promised to run energy tests tomorrow. Maybe he would find an answer. But Ilara felt there was something else, something deeper. Before she slept, she whispered into the silence. Shadow, what are you? And why are you protecting me? She closed her eyes, but the shadow on the wall flickered, just a little, as if listening. The midnight sign. In the middle of the night, Ilara felt a strange chill and opened her eyes slowly. The room was dark except for the faint blue glow from the balcony. She sat up. Something felt different. When she looked down, she saw her shadow standing beside her bed, not lying flat, not matching her posture, standing, upright, as if waiting. Ilara froze. Her breath caught. Her shadow did not move toward her or away from her. It simply stood next to her, facing the balcony door, almost like it was watching something outside. Ilara looked at the balcony. Nothing moved. The sky was quiet. The wind was gentle, but her shadow refused to return to normal. She whispered, "What are you trying to tell me?" No answer came, of course, only silence. Then the shadow slowly leaned forward, pointing toward the balcony. Ilara felt her heart jump. She stepped toward the door with hesitant steps. Her shadow moved back to normal just as she touched the curtain. She opened the balcony door. There was no danger. Only a broken piece of metal hanging from the outer roof ready to fall. It must have come loose during earlier repairs. If she had stepped out without knowing, the piece could have fallen and injured her badly. Ilara stared at it, her breath unsteady. Her shadow had warned her. Her shadow had protected her. This was no longer imagination. It was real. Something inside her, something human, was waking up. Something connected to Lyria's strange energy. Something that no alien, no human scientist, and not even she herself understood. The morning sun rose slowly over the human colony on Lyria, casting long golden beams across the palace. Princess Ilara woke with a start, remembering the events of the previous night. Her shadow had moved alone. It had protected her twice. And now she felt different. There was a strange energy in her body, something she could not name. She dressed quickly, careful not to alert the palace guards to her unusual urgency. She had a plan. To see Professor Loris immediately. He was the only one who might understand what was happening to her. The lab smelled of metal and crystal, as it always did, but today it felt alive. The hum of the machine sounded sharper, the floating screens flickered with tiny patterns, as if sensing the strange energy in the room. "Elara," Loris said softly, noticing her tense expression. "You look restless this morning." "I can't stop thinking about last night," she said. "The shadow. It moved by itself. It saved me, Professor." "Twice," Loris nodded. "I understand. I believe this is not merely a coincidence. Humans on Lyria respond to quantum fields differently. You may have unlocked a latent human ability, one that allows your subconscious to act through your shadow." Elara frowned. "Subconscious? That sounds impossible." Perhaps to us aliens," Loris said gently, "but humans are unusual. Your species can adapt in ways no one expected. Your shadow may be connected to your instincts, to your ability to foresee danger before your mind consciously reacts." Elara's eyes widened. "Foresee danger?" "Yes," Loris replied. "But we must be careful. This power may grow stronger, and with power comes responsibility." Elara felt a chill, though the room was warm. Responsibility. She had barely learned to control her shadow. And now, it might grow even more unpredictable. Testing the shadow, Loris led her to an empty training hall in the palace. The hall was wide, with polished floors that reflected every movement. He had set up a series of floating targets, small spheres that hovered in the air at different heights. "Today," Loris explained, "we will observe your shadow's response. Move slowly. Think only of walking, and let your shadow act." Elara stepped forward, her heart pounding. She looked down. Her shadow moved normally at first, matching her movements exactly. Then, when she took her first real step toward the targets, something extraordinary happened. The shadow paused, lifted an arm, and struck a target before she even raised her own hand. The small sphere glowed and vanished, as if hit by an invisible force. Elara gasped. "I didn't move." Loris smiled, his glowing patterns brightening. "It is learning. Your shadow can anticipate actions. It responds faster than your conscious mind can command." Elara tried again, this time focusing on the second target. Her shadow moved first, knocking it out of the air. Then the third. Each time, her body followed only a fraction of a second later. "This is amazing," she whispered. "It's like my shadow is alive." "Perhaps it is," Loris said. "It may be a reflection of human potential, Elara. Humans can adapt, foresee, and react in ways even advanced alien minds cannot predict. Your shadow is showing that in action." Elara's heart swelled. Humans, her species, had survived countless dangers in the galaxy. They had adapted to harsh planets, fought impossible odds, and still thrived. And now, her shadow, this mysterious part of herself, proved that humans were not just survivors, they were extraordinary. The palace incident. Later that day, the palace was busy with visitors. Dignitaries from nearby alien systems had come to meet the human princess. They admired humans, but some were still cautious, curious, and suspicious. Elara tried to act normally, but she could not stop thinking about her shadow. What if it moved again? What if it acted without her knowing? She walked down the main hall, her hands clasped together. The polished floor reflected the light of crystal chandeliers. Her shadow followed her, but something strange happened. As she approached a group of alien visitors, one of the chandelier crystals loosened from above. It began to fall. Elara froze. The chandelier was heavy. If it hit someone, it could be dangerous. But before she could react, her shadow stretched. It lunged forward across the floor. As if pressing down with invisible weight, the crystal slowed in midair, gently landing on the floor with a soft thud. The aliens gasped. Some fell back, startled. Others whispered quickly among themselves. Alara's heart raced. She had not moved. Her shadow had acted alone, protecting others before she even realized what was happening. Professor Loris came rushing from the side, his long arms extended to steady her. "Incredible," he said, his eyes bright. "Your shadow. It is more capable than I imagined." Alara shook. "I don't understand. It's like it knows what will happen before I do." "Yes," Loris said. "And now you see why humans are unique. You have instincts and abilities that others cannot comprehend. Your shadow is showing your potential in ways the galaxy has never seen." Alara felt pride, but also fear. What if her shadow acted when she did not want it to? What if it misunderstood and caused trouble? The rival faction. That evening, news reached the colony that a rival alien faction was moving closer to Lyria. They were curious about humans, and some wanted to study them. Others feared them. Ilara's parents, the colony leaders, held an emergency council. The palace guards were on high alert. The alien visitors had left. Some suspicious, some afraid. Alara stood quietly in her room, thinking about her shadow. She understood now that it was not just a reflection, it was a part of her, a part of human adaptability and instinct. Her shadow flickered on the floor, almost as if it shared her thoughts. She took a deep breath. "I must learn to control it. Before anything happens," she whispered. Training at night. That night, Alara went to the private training room again. Loris had left devices that emitted soft energy waves. Harmless but capable of testing the shadow's reactions. "Focus," Loris had said. "Your shadow is a reflection of your instincts. Think, but do not command. Let it move." Alara stood in the center of the room. Her shadow stretched behind her, moving almost like it had its own mind. She raised her hands, imagining moving a floating orb. Her shadow reacted first, guiding her movements. She laughed softly. "It feels like I'm learning with it," she said. "It's not just me controlling it. It's both of us together." She spent hours practicing. The shadow responded to danger, to movement, and even to her emotions. If she felt nervous, the shadow acted to calm her. If she sensed fear, the shadow moved to protect her. By the end of the night, Alara understood something new. Her shadow was not separate from her, it was human potential made visible. Humans could act faster, anticipate danger, and adapt better than any alien species. Her shadow was proof of that. First, real danger. 2 days later, a small scouting ship from the rival faction approached Lyria. They were not hostile yet, only curious, but curiosity could turn dangerous. Alara walked on the balcony, looking at the approaching ship. She felt tension in her chest. Something about the movement of the ship. It did not feel right. Her shadow moved first, stretching slightly forward. Alara froze, realizing it was warning her. She stepped back slowly, and her parents' guards noticed the signal. Before anyone could act, the rival ship fired a warning shot, more to scare than to destroy. But the shadow reacted instantly. Objects on the balcony moved. Small crystal barriers forming to protect the humans. The blast bounced harmlessly off them. The aliens gasped. The humans looked at Alara with awe. She felt a surge of pride. She had not even thought her shadow had protected everyone. Professor Loris whispered, "You see now, Princess? Humans are not just strong, they are unpredictable. That is what makes you extraordinary." Alara nodded slowly, understanding. Her shadow was not just a strange phenomenon. It was proof that humans could survive, adapt, and protect even in the most dangerous situations. End of Part 2. Hook. As the sun set over the palace, the shadow flickered on the wall beside Alara. She watched it closely, feeling a strange warmth. It moved slightly forward, as if saying, "There is more to learn. There is more to protect." Alara smiled softly. She knew the journey had only begun. Humans were not ordinary, and now She could see it clearly, not just in herself, but in the shadow that moved before her. She whispered, almost to herself, "We are stronger than anyone knows, and my shadow will help me prove it." The night air shimmered with quiet energy. The human princess and her shadow were ready to face whatever came next. The sun rose slowly over the human colony on Lyria, casting soft pink and gold light across the palace. Princess Alara stood on the balcony, looking at the distant mountains. She felt the warmth of the morning breeze on her face, but her thoughts were elsewhere. Her shadow, it had become more than a simple reflection of her body. It had intelligence, instinct, and perhaps even its own will. Alara turned as Professor Loris approached. His glowing skin patterns were brighter than usual, showing his excitement. "Alara," he said, "I have been analyzing your shadow while you slept. I believe we are discovering something extraordinary. Something no alien has ever seen before." Alara tilted her head. "What do you mean, Professor?" "I mean that your shadow is not just responding to your actions," Loris said. "It is connected to your subconscious mind. It can sense danger, read your instincts, and act before your conscious brain does. It may even be a projection of human potential." Alara's eyes widened. "Human potential? You mean all humans could have this?" "Not all, but it is part of what makes your species unique," Loris explained. "Humans can adapt, foresee threats, and react in ways other species cannot. Your shadow is a visible proof of that. It is like a guardian created by your own instincts." Alara felt a shiver. She had always known humans were strong and clever, but this was something beyond anything she had imagined. A training ground for shadows. Loris led Alara to the palace's special training hall. The walls were lined with energy grids, floating targets, and devices designed to measure movement and reaction time. Today, the purpose was simple: understand how far her shadow's abilities could go. Alara stood in the center of the hall. Her shadow stretched behind her, perfectly synchronized. She felt her heartbeat quicken. She had never practiced this consciously before. "Relax," Loris said. "Do not think about controlling your shadow. Let it move. Let it protect. Observe how it reacts." Alara nodded, taking a deep breath. She stepped forward, slowly, thinking only of reaching a floating target ahead. Her shadow moved first. It reached out with its shape, striking the target and making it disappear. Alara's own hands followed a moment later. She gasped. "It did it again," she whispered. "Before me." "Yes," Loris said. "Your shadow is learning. It senses the environment, your intentions, and even possible dangers. It acts faster than your mind can command." Alara experimented more. She imagined moving a crystal orb, jumping over a small barrier, and even dodging an invisible attack. Each time, her shadow moved first, sometimes perfectly, sometimes hesitating, learning. "It's like I am learning with it," Alara said softly. "It's not separate. It's me." Loris nodded. "Exactly. This is what makes humans special. Your instincts, your subconscious mind, your ability to adapt. It is reflected in your shadow. And it may be stronger than we realize." The rival faction strikes. 2 days later, the alarm system in the colony rang loudly. Scouts reported a fleet from the rival alien faction approaching Lyria's borders. They had heard about humans' strange abilities, and some wanted to capture or study them. Others feared them. The colony went into high alert. Alien guards stationed themselves at every entrance. Scientists and engineers prepared defenses. Alara watched from the balcony, her shadow moving in ways she could not yet control. "Princess," Loris said, "I need you to stay inside. Do not take risks." "I cannot," Alara said. "If humans are being watched, if someone tries to harm us, I have to help." Loris hesitated but then nodded. He knew the human strength was not just in their technology, but in their instinct, adaptability, and courage. As the rival fleet approached, Small energy blasts began targeting the outer perimeter. Guards returned fire. But the humans were outnumbered. Elara felt her shadow stretch instinctively. It moved forward before she could think, guiding her body to crouch behind a pillar. Energy shields flickered into existence around her. The rival attackers were confused. No human should have reacted so fast. But the humans were not ordinary. And their princess? Her shadow acted faster than any weapon. The shadow protects. Elara moved carefully, watching her shadow. Every time a small blast approached, the shadow adjusted her position, creating barriers with her own energy, as if it had a mind of its own. She ran down the hall, and her shadow stayed just ahead of her. It blocked falling debris, redirected loose machinery, and even pushed back a small attack drone before it could reach her. The aliens guarding the palace stared in awe. They had studied humans for years, but no species had instincts and reflexes like this. They realized humans were unpredictable, clever, and capable of reacting in ways no one could plan for. Elara's heart raced. She felt proud, but also scared. Her shadow acted without her conscious control. She wondered how far it could go, and if she could ever fully control it. Discovering the shadow's secret. After the attack, the palace was safe, but tense. Elara and Loris retreated to the lab. Loris had been running tests while the battle occurred, analyzing the energy patterns of her shadow. Elara, he said, your shadow's energy is connected to your neural activity, your subconscious instincts, and the quantum fields of Lyria. It is a part of your human potential that no other species possesses. Humans are capable of reacting before danger even occurs. Your shadow shows that in action. Elara nodded slowly. So, it is human instinct made visible. Yes, Loris said. Humans are not only survivors. They are adaptable, clever, and unpredictable. Your shadow is a living proof of that. And now, you must learn to work with it. Elara's shadow flickered. She watched closely as it stretched slightly forward, almost as if nodding. She realized then that it was not just a shadow. It was a reflection of everything humans could be. A new understanding. Elara spent the next several days practicing with her shadow. She learned to sense its movements, to anticipate its instinctive actions, and even to guide it slightly, without commanding it. Her shadow became a partner in every action. If she jumped, it jumped before her. If she ducked, it ducked first. If she ran toward danger, it moved ahead, clearing the way. Elara realized something important. Humans did not just survive by strength or weapons. They survived by thinking, reacting, and adapting faster than anyone else. Her shadow made that instinct visible, almost magical to anyone who saw it. Even the aliens began to respect it. The guards and advisors watched as she moved through the halls during training. They realized that humans could be stronger than any technology, more clever than any strategy, and faster than any plan. Preparing for the next attack. Weeks passed. The rival faction had not returned, but Elara knew they would. They had seen humans in action. They had seen her shadow save lives. And now they would come prepared. Elara worked with her shadow every day, training silently in the palace. She learned to predict its movements, to trust it, and to move with it as one. She also began meditating, focusing her mind on calm, clarity, and observation. Her shadow responded to her emotions, reflecting her courage and control. One evening, she stood on the balcony, watching the stars. The shadow moved beside her, upright and alert. She whispered softly, "We are ready. Whatever comes." Her shadow flickered, stretching slightly toward the horizon. It seemed to sense something she could not yet see. Elara smiled. Humans were not ordinary. They were capable of extraordinary things. And now, her shadow proved it to the galaxy. The sun had not yet risen over the human colony on Lyria when the alarm sounded. Princess Elara stood on the balcony, her shadow stretching across the stone floor like a dark, living ribbon. The distant mountains were shrouded in the first gray light of dawn. But the shapes hovering above them were unmistakable. The rival faction had returned far larger, far more prepared. Ships hovered like dark clouds, their weapons ready. Even the most advanced alien technology in the colony would struggle against such numbers. But Alara did not panic. She had trained for this. She had learned. And most importantly, her shadow was ready. Professor Loris appeared beside her, his glowing skin flickering with urgency. "Alara," he said, "they've come for the humans. You must be careful." Alara shook her head, her dark eyes firm. "We are humans. We survive. We adapt. And they will see why." Her shadow stretched forward, almost as if echoing her determination. It had become more than a protector, it was a partner, a reflection of human ingenuity and instinct. The battle begins. The first attack came swiftly. Small drones dropped from the enemy ships, firing energy blasts at the palace. Human and alien guards opened fire, their weapons glowing in the dim light. Alara's shadow moved instantly. Before her conscious mind even processed the danger, it shifted, creating invisible barriers and redirecting debris to block the blasts. A blast that could have hit a group of alien dignitaries barely grazed them, deflected by the shadow's anticipatory movement. The aliens stared in awe. Even their most advanced shields could not act with such precision. Only a human and her shadow could. Alara felt a strange sense of calm. Her shadow was no longer separate, it was an extension of her. A visible proof of the human ability to adapt and protect. She moved through the palace halls, her shadow always ahead, always anticipating threats. Falling debris, attacking drones, even sabotaged equipment, nothing could harm her or the people she protected. Humans versus alien technology. The enemy fleet unleashed larger ships. Energy beams cut through the sky, targeting the colony's defenses. The alien allies struggled to hold their ground. But humans were different. Alara's shadow moved with her, directing humans, redirecting debris, and even manipulating some of the colony's energy shields in ways the aliens had not planned. She realized something incredible. Humans did not just fight with strength or weapons. They fought with foresight, with cleverness, and with the ability to anticipate what no one else could. Her shadow made that instinct visible. As the battle raged, Alara directed groups of human defenders, trusting her shadow to anticipate threats she could not see. Energy beams that should have destroyed walls were redirected. Enemy drones were toppled by invisible force. Even the rival faction's ships seemed confused, unable to predict how humans moved and adapted. The shadow's true power. In the middle of the battle, a massive energy cannon from the rival flagship aimed at the palace. Everyone froze. The blast could have destroyed the central hall. Alara's shadow reacted first. It stretched across the courtyard, forming a barrier of shimmering dark energy. The blast struck, but the shadow absorbed the force, dissipating it safely across the stone floor. Alara felt the connection between her and the shadow strengthen. She moved forward, following its guidance. Every step, every action, every reaction was shared. She realized that the shadow was not only anticipating danger, it was amplifying human potential, making instinct visible, making foresight real. The rival ships fired again and again. But humans, with Alara and her shadow leading them, adapted faster than the attackers could plan. They moved unpredictably, coordinated in ways alien technology could not predict. Every energy shield, every counterattack, every rescue was perfectly timed. The aliens observing the battle could not hide their astonishment. Humans were clever. Humans were adaptable. Humans were extraordinary, turning the tide. As the sun rose fully, the enemy ships were tiring. Their attacks became less precise. Alara's shadow guided her through the final moments, showing her weak points in their formation. She gathered the colony defenders and led a counterattack. Humans moved with precision, striking in unexpected ways, anticipating the enemy's moves before they happened. Energy beams were redirected, drones were disabled, and rival soldiers were forced to retreat. The flagship tried to escape, but the humans were faster. Using the terrain, the colony's technology, and instinctive strategy, guided by Alara's shadow, they surrounded the ship. The enemy had no choice but to withdraw. The skies cleared. The rival faction retreated. The human colony had survived. Not by luck, not by chance, but by intelligence, courage, adaptability, and the extraordinary instincts of a species no one had fully understood. The aftermath. The palace was quiet after the battle. Humans and aliens worked together to repair the damage. Soldiers and engineers moved with efficiency and cooperation. Alara stood on the balcony, her shadow stretching behind her. She felt exhaustion, but also pride. She had discovered something incredible. Humans were not ordinary. Humans were capable of extraordinary things. Her shadow had proven it. Professor Loris approached, smiling warmly. "Alara," he said, "you have shown the galaxy what humans can do. Your shadow. It is a symbol of your species' potential. Humans are strong, clever, and unpredictable. You are not only a princess, you are a reflection of what humans can achieve." Alara nodded slowly. "It was not just me," she said. "It was all of us. Humans. We survive. We adapt. We protect each other. And now, the galaxy knows it." Her shadow flickered beside her, stretching slightly forward. It was as if it agreed, a new understanding. Word of the battle spread across nearby star systems. Aliens who had doubted humans before now looked at them with respect. Even the rival faction would remember the day the humans, guided by a princess and her shadow, defended their home. Alara walked through the palace, observing humans and aliens working together. Her shadow followed naturally, calm and steady. She realized that humans had not just survived, they had revealed their true strength. It was not just technology, size, or weapons that made humans extraordinary. It was instinct, adaptability, intelligence, and courage. Her shadow was proof of all that, a visible symbol of human potential. The alien allies approached her, showing respect, admiration, and even a hint of awe. Humans had earned their place not just in the galaxy, but as a species that could not be predicted, controlled, or underestimated. The princess and the shadow. Later that evening, Alara returned to her private room. The city lights reflected softly on the walls. She sat by the window, looking at her shadow stretching along the floor. "Thank you," she whispered. "You protected me. And all of them. You are part of me. And I am part of you. Together, we are human." The shadow flickered, stretching slightly as if acknowledging her words. Alara smiled. She understood something now. Humans were not ordinary. They could face impossible dangers, adapt to every challenge, and protect those they loved. Her shadow was a visible sign of that truth. As night fell, the colony slept peacefully. Humans had proven their value, not just with strength or weapons, but with intelligence, courage, and instinct. Alara lay down, her shadow folding gently around her, calm and steady. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Other worlds might test humanity, but the humans would survive, adapt, and overcome, just as they always had. The princess closed her eyes, feeling a sense of pride and wonder. Humanity had shown its true power to the galaxy, and her shadow would always remind her of it. Ending message. The galaxy had seen the humans fight, and the humans had survived. But more than survival, they had shown something more valuable. Foresight, intelligence, adaptability, and courage. Alara understood now that humans were extraordinary. Her shadow, moving before she did, had revealed the secret. Human potential was limitless. They could face danger, protect their own, and stand unbroken against any threat. The stars above Lyria glimmered softly. Somewhere in their light, the galaxy had begun to understand the truth. Humans were a species to be respected, admired, and, if necessary, feared for their unpredictability. Alara whispered softly, almost as if speaking to the galaxy itself. "We are human, and we will always survive." We will always adapt. We will always protect each other. That is who we are. We, her shadow flickered, stretching proudly beside her. Together, they looked at the stars, ready for the next challenge, ready to show the galaxy what humans could truly do.